Okay, and then I want to share my screen. Start our slideshow. Then I gotta bring back my pictures so I can see all your beautiful faces. Hold on. Can you guys see the screen? You see Why So Serious? Is it full screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, good. All right, well, I'm gonna hand it over to Angel Chandler to open up the meeting, open up our, our Empower Hour Monday night call. But I'm going to tell you guys, while she's doing that, pay close attention to what she says. But on top of that, would you start inviting here, guys? Come on. I mean, this is really going to be, it's all new content. You guys got to bring your teams on here. We can't help you grow unless they hear what's going on. Okay. And this is really not about you learning it. You take it back to them and, you'll put your own spin on it. Guys, that only holds your business back. You have to have an abundance mindset. You have to have that mentality that if you're going to let trainers train your people so that your people can get the best out of it. Angel, thank you so much for joining us. Let me introduce Angel. So Angel has been
Can we
Network
start
Marketing
recording,
Pro
or do you
for.
want do you want to
that?
start recording? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I think we are recording.
Oh, we are? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, because I stopped and then started again. But thank you for really just stepping
No
on your
problem.
own
I
introduction.
love ruining things. Sorry.
So, and I never really get the chance to introduce you, right? So Angel has been a network marketing pro for well over a decade, closer to 14 years or so. She's been a six-figure earner. She's been formed a multiple of seven-figure businesses. I've had the luxury of being on calls with her outside of network marketing and watched her really raise funds for companies. I've seen her handle objections. I've seen her do so much that really convinced me that she's probably one of the top trainers in the industry, because it's not about just repeating some stuff that's on a screen. It's about when things go awry, or when someone has a question, and you have to be able to consider what the content is, and then how you're going to relate that content to the person that you're speaking to, not these generalizations, right? And I think a lot of network marketing trainers today really generalize, where they're not making it specific to the person. So when she asks a lot of questions, there's reasons for that. So Angel has been, I think, one of the top trainers in New U Life as well in a short period of time. In fact, she's invited to speak in Utah, which is very rare for someone in their first couple of months with New U Life to really, take that main stage. But she's earned it. So Angel, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being part of this team. Thank you so much for everything you share. And I really, really appreciate what you've been doing here. And it's not going unnoticed. And your rank advancements and everything, I know you don't like to take credit for them, but they've been significant. I mean, 2 in the last less than 30 days, customers coming in, et cetera. And I think you're making a country like Canada, who New Life struggled with for quite some time, really putting it on the map. So I really appreciate everything you're doing there. But ladies and gentlemen, Angel Chandler.
Thank you, Paul. You know how much I love that kind of stuff. It's like I sit here just wanting to disappear.
Are you
But thank
cringing?
you.
I try
Yeah,
not to make it too cringe-worthy, so.
it's so funny. That's my thing, right? I that's what I struggle with. I've shared that with you guys before. The whole recognition and that kind of stuff is something I have to work on. So I appreciate you so much. And guys, I'm really excited for all of us here tonight. If you're just coming and taking a look, maybe you've been invited to this training. This is our Empower House training that we have, our Empower Hour training that we have every single week on Mondays at 7 Eastern. And Paul and I have been talking a lot over the last couple of months about really taking this training to the next level, making it available to the entire industry, allowing you to invite people here, have it be a place where we establish that mastermind mindset, right? Where we come in, we deliver a little bit more powerful training than in the last couple of years. And you're going to see new slides and a new look and new topics and just really great things. So absolutely, if you can right now, go and invite one person, go and post this, go and take a screenshot of the screen and post it on your social media and say, I'm in a top leaders mastermind right now. Does anybody want the link to come and join us? Go and share that, because people will raise their hand and say, yes, I want to be a part of that. So we're really excited about this, and it's a great training tonight. You can see the title title there, Why So Serious? The Irony of Taking Yourself Too Seriously and How It Backfires. Paul sent me this topic, I think it was just yesterday. He came up with the whole thing and it's just fantastic. I'm really excited about it. And now I get to give kudos to Paul. Because if you're here and you don't know who Paul Capozio is, he's the reason I'm back in network marketing. I took a couple of years off, didn't think I'd be back in, and I share with you guys all the time that I'm here because of him. But when you listen to Paul train, he brings a total different style of leadership and training into this industry and profession. And I see it. I love it. I know that he is going to be delivering training this year and quickly become one of the biggest names in the training side of things. I fully believe, Paul, because of what he's created massive success in the company that he's in, multiple seven figures, all of that. But it's just who he is, how he trains. He brings this Wall Street mentality and this corporate mentality into training and network marketing. He had success in his first company. And so it's like he's just this anomaly who just brings this wisdom. And I learn something from you every single day, Paul. So I am grateful to be able to partner with you in training and really take this to the next level for all of our people and the people that they bring to this, and just kind of set that new standard in the profession. So I'm so excited, and thanks for letting me be a part of this with you.
Awesome. And I got to look up two words. I got to look up kudos and anomaly, because they sound they sound like they're
Yes.
negative, but I think, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Of course I know what they are.
Okay.
All right. And then also I wanted another one of our co-hosts, and someone who I've been working with for quite some time, is Peg Tucker. And Peg, we always joke about Peg's, working in network marketing. She literally would get on Zooms and not turn her camera on. And that's like this kind of a joke thing, but it's really true. But it shows you how well you could progress. And one of the things we're going to talk about, in fact, actually my speech in Utah is talking about how you go from that mindset into that CEO mindset. And she's really done that. Number one. Number two, she has the patience of Job, especially with me. She's really created something very, very unique, where a lot of the leadership and a lot of the old school training that's out there is kind of anti-social media, anti outreach, and it's really more of a list-based mentality. Make a list, call your friends, who's your plumber, who's your doctor, and call them, versus this attraction marketing program that she did such an amazing job with. And then so many times I'll get on a call with her and I'll ask one of her prospects, so what attracted you to us? And they'll say, well, to be honest with you, it was Peg. I was listening to Peg's TikTok, or I was watching TikTok, or I've been following Peg on social media for the last couple of years. And I just felt that I needed to do whatever she was doing. That's exactly the feedback that you need to be getting. And that's exactly what tonight's training is all about. I want people to realize there are some secrets to network marketing, and this has really taken the training to a next level. And what I mean by taking training to the next level is that many of us take ourselves too seriously, or we come up with a plan and we think this plan is going to be this great plan, and we don't realize that just from our sheer attitude or our sheer outlook on things, or the way we post ourselves, or even as simple as the way we look in a picture, can actually have the opposite effect on people, and it's not going to draw in people the way it does. So let's get started with our slides. And the first thing we want to talk about is the perception dilemma. And the perception dilemma is, you think you're putting out one thing, and your audience is seeing and dealing with something completely different. So one of the things that you have to do is, when you come across too serious, or without a smile, or maybe wearing certain things or taking certain poses in your pictures, or maybe even just putting certain text out there of a nature that is perceived as arrogant, will have such a disastrous effect. The first thing is trust and reliability. People who take themselves too seriously, they come across rigid. And the other thing is unapproachable. And that's the worst thing in network marketing, is to be unapproachable, because what do we want? We want attraction marketing. We want to do what Peg Tucker does. We want to be approachable. We want people to feel that if they joined with us, they can do it. So this lack of approachability can erode trust with those people, how they feel about us, and make it really difficult for others to relate. So finding common ground is really, really important in network marketing. So even though you have some of these great big network marketers, one trait that they all have when you talk to them is they have ability to really become friendly. So trust and relatability is something that suffers if you have too big of an attitude. The next thing is perceived arrogance. Perceived arrogance is that super excessive seriousness, and the people are going to just feel that you're way too self-important. You really think so much of yourself that, and if you constantly emphasize how important you are and how all your great achievements, it could really alienate other people. So it's a fine balance between, hey, I'm successful, and I could help you become successful too. But by the way, and have you ever noticed, especially with me, I'll use myself, about how I'll do self-depreciating humor, how I'll kind of make fun of myself, or if my language all the time, I'm like, look, even a guy from New Jersey that sounds like me can do this. I do that for a reason. Angel says things like multiple seven-figure earn, or all these other things can actually have the opposite effect if I said it, right? Now, we all talk about being authentic, right? So you really, really got to get that humble nature going. Izzy's on the call right now, master distributor for a competing company, a dear, dear friend of mine. I trust him with my life. And I'll tell you, and even though he's probably going to steal all this great content and then never give me any credit for it, but he's got a way of making you feel comfortable, even though he's been, oh my God, it's got to be 127 years in the business. Um, has made millions, has lost millions, has made millions again, built companies into the tens of millions of dollars, and he's done so much, but with such a humble attitude and such a servant leadership position. That's why his success is ongoing. I've met so many people in this industry who are what I call one-hit wonders. Oh, I've never met more broke millionaires in any industry. Network marketing is the haven of broke millionaires. Oh, I was the top earner over here 27 years ago. Good. Can you just bring me one person? Can you recruit one person this week and just, introduce them to me? So I want you to look at the two pictures into the lower right-hand corner. You could barely see them, but that's for a reason. I want you to look at that one woman on the left, very serious, silver hair, she's got that stark look on her face. The other woman to the right, I know they're hard to see, it's for a reason. And she's got this look away attitude. She's not looking at the camera, right? When I first saw those pictures, because they were so small, I saw them as that perceived arrogance type of a picture. And we're going to come back and revisit them a couple of slides from now. But remember, sometimes when you have that arrogance or that lack of authenticity, or people really are not really believing that you are who you say you are, do you know there are people who rent empty private jets to take pictures on them? Do you know that there is a place in New York City that is a private jet set that you could actually rent to go in? They film TV shows in there and everything else. And people in our industry are renting them and sitting there with a glass of champagne as if they're flying, halfway across the world. So it's not only what you say, it's what you wear. It's not only what you wear, it's how you look on camera. Do you know how hard it was for me in stock imagery to find people who weren't smiling? Do you know where I find all the people who were doing this and that attitude, besides rap music covers, album covers? Was my friends in network marketing. Okay. And I don't want to use those pictures here, but I realized, oh my God, this is an epidemic or a pandemic in our industry, and people don't realize they're turning off people. Guys, this is a big secret for network marketing. It's understanding people. So Angel, I'm going to throw it to you real quick, just to comment on the trust and relatability when people kind of have that look to them, that perceived arrogance in terms of people. Any comments on any of this?
Yeah, I mean, I know myself, I'm turned off by it, right? If I get on the phone or even in a message with somebody and they're bragging about themselves immediately, and I know, it kind of maybe contradicts a bit about what we say when we say brag on yourself for me. If we ask somebody to brag on themselves, go for it. I want to hear all about you. But it's those
Right.
people that just do it without you even asking. This is what I did. This is who I am. Angel, you need to be a part of this. Me, 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 me. And it just turns me right off. And I see it online. And um, it's probably a pet peeve of mine, because if I'm scrolling on Instagram or Facebook, mostly Instagram, and I see somebody acting like that, it's an immediate no for me. I'm unfollowing, I'm not, engaging with them. So I think that we have this fake it till you make it kind of idea of what you have to do in order to attract people, that the more you're confident in yourself and your ego is bigger, or you act that way, that people are going to like you. And if we just, again, stop being weird in network marketing and realize that in life you don't like people like that, people in network marketing aren't going to like you either. And so it's something, and myself, even in the first few years, I kept it so professional, and I wasn't letting my personality come out. And I was like, oh, I have to be Angel, the business girl. And it didn't even feel natural. I felt like it was what I was supposed to be doing. Right. And so it's something you have to learn. It's okay if you're learning this and you're just being like, oh my gosh, I haven't even thought of it that way. That's okay. That's what this is for, is to help you to figure out what mistakes you might be making.
Okay, so Izzy, I do want to go to you. Peg, I do want to go to you. Any thoughts on this slide? Because we do have another one that we expound on the perception dilemma about what you think you're projecting, or what people think they're projecting, and what the people are receiving on the other end. Izzy?
This is a big one. It's a bit. I'm right there with Angel. It's a big pet peeve of mine. You see all these guys in front of the Ferraris, in front of the mansions. None of those are theirs. But it is a dilemma that we all face. And I'll admit, in my early career, even prior to network marketing, Paul, you know the story. I had the trappings, I had the jet, the yacht, all of that nonsense. I don't know that I came across the way I wanted to. My wife seems to think that I came across kind of snooty patooty. And I think the best thing for me was having it stripped away. These days, I approach everything with a sense of humor. I try to be so transparent, I'm invisible. I try not to talk about me. I'd rather ask questions about everybody else. And on Facebook, I try to do the same thing. I try to keep it simple, and I poke fun at myself. My wife just posted a picture with my permission about a dancing gorilla, and she says, this is what my husband sounds like when I ask him something. It looks like, and I try to keep it real. Ever since I learned to drop that facade, things changed. I became, I guess, relatable, likable, everything that you're saying. And it's true. People want to see you. They don't care what you've got. They don't care what you've done. It's all about, where can you take me on my journey? And that's just a lot of fun. If you can get to that point in life, it makes this business, really cool. And by the way, the whole thing about professionalism, I think that's a bunch of hooey. Back in the day, we all wore suits and you had to dress like one level above everybody. I love the fact that I can do this in a t-shirt. You've got your cap. The exception to the rule is our beloved Angel. She's always got spot on makeup. She's freaking gorgeous, but she's always giggling and laughing. She may be professional, but she cuts through the chase. She eliminates all the ballyhoo, and it's the real deal. I love that about her. That is such a talent. It is such a blessing and such a gift. You have it too, Paul. You're a big, tough guy. When I first met you, I knew I was going to pay the check or I'd get thrown out a window. But you come across real humble and real, approachable. That's what makes you guys such a success, the two of you.
Thank you so much, Izzy. Peg, anything come to mind? Now, we don't want to talk about people in per se. We want to talk generalizations, but anything on these three, trust and relatability, and how more trusting and how more relatable people are, the nicer they are.
Yeah, well, just listen to Izzy talk, right? He's like, how could you not like Izzy? How could you not want to have coffee with Izzy, right? So I think just being relatable and letting people get to know you. And you talk about, the people with in the jet with the champagne. I literally, I scroll right by. They don't get my attention at all. The same as those people, if I ran into them locally, I would keep looking pretty much, right? And I try to let people know what my chapter 1 was, and that I'm not at the end of the book yet, but I like to let people know where I am on the journey and take them on the journey with me. I think that's more relatable than the jet. Like, who's gonna see themselves as that person with the jet? They're gonna be like, yeah, that's not for me, thanks, and check out. Back to you, Paul.
Izzy, did you want to say something else?
Yeah, may I add one last thing? Peg makes a good point. Guys, I think people would be more impressed with all of us collectively if we admit our flaws and failures. I had the jet, I lost it. I had to file a Chapter 13 bankruptcy 4 hours before my house was going to be sold at the auction steps. I wear that as a badge of honor because people want to know that you have the ability not only to get them where they need, but to pick yourself up and not be devastated by the losses. Be real about it. If you have some kind of insecurity or inadequacy, turn that into a strength. Hey, look, I may not be the most professional person, but I got people that I can turn you on to. I may not have all the answers, but I know where to get them. That weakness isn't a weakness. It's a strength of character. So embrace it. I wear my bankruptcy, paid it off, nobody lost any money, like a badge of honor. It makes you real. That's just a thought, Paul.
No, it's a beautiful thought, and thank you for your honesty. The other thing is, yeah, you get to a point where you realize the things that are important in life and not important in life, and having the cars and the boats and all of that stuff is you're really substituting for something. That's number one. I want to continue on with this because I can tell already that we're probably not going to get through all, even though there's only a handful of slides, this is going to be a great training. But guys, if you don't understand this about people, and we're going to just not talk about people who take themselves too seriously, we're going to talk about all personality types this year. So once you come across these personality types, it doesn't mean you can't recruit them, but you have to know how they're going to work and what to expect from them and manage the expectation. Here's another thing. People that project themselves really seriously and their poop doesn't stink and they only drink the best wine, etc. Guys, I'm drinking a $17 bottle of wine right now, okay? So, and maybe that's expensive for some people. So that could have been perceived as snooty, right? So we don't know, but if you're overly serious, then people are going to think they're not flexible, they're not adaptable. I'm not going to get them to be able to meet at my local coffee shop because if I need them to meet one of my distributors and the way this person looks, I think I got to take them to a 5-star restaurant just to do a meeting. Right. So it shows a lack of flexibility and that they can't adapt. Right. So, if they take themselves too seriously, they're going to struggle to navigate some of these other things. Oh, they're not going to want to come to this event. If I invite them to an event, our event right now is going to be in the corporate offices in Utah. It's not going to be in Las Vegas. I don't know if I can invite them to that. Right. So it creates, they're sending out the wrong messaging that opportunity is going to actually be closed off to them. And here's another thing, they're perceived as not credible. And therefore, if you're not credible, you're not trustworthy, right? So here's another thing. Usually people that are in this level of seriousness or whatever may lack empathy, right? They don't want to understand someone's struggles, or they may lack, humility. Well, we know they lack humility, but also they may lack a sense of humor. So we're going to talk about how to help these things along with humor, but emotional intelligence is critical to this business. Having a certain level of emotional intelligence to be able to feel people. And I think I have an exceptionally good gut instinct. I think I could read a person very quickly. Does that mean I'm always right? No, but 99% of the time I'm over the target. So it's worth it for me to take that risk to lose that 1%. It's all a law of averages. I want you to look at the picture of the girl up front. If you saw that picture on Instagram or on Facebook, right? She's not walking her dog, with the little vest on it, with the booties and the fur collar, and she's not wearing a fur. She loves the dog. She's not afraid to get up front with the dog and hug it and all. So I think that's a more open picture. Do you know how hard it was? I'm going to tell you, it was literally impossible for me to find stock images, meaning images that are used in marketing and advertising, right? That people didn't at least have a slight smile on their face. It's so critical to have that welcoming look in your eye or your lips or somewhere, your demeanor, your posture, that when you're taking these photographs or you're posting, you're not closing people out. So even a slight smile with your eyes is so important. So we might think we're trying to project this image of power, and what we're really doing is we're closing off people. Any one of our Peg or Izzy or Angel, anybody have any comments on this?
I think that for emotional intelligence, and you just made me laugh because I literally had to do the smile with my eyes today because I had to go get my driver's license picture, and we're not allowed to smile here in Manitoba. And I hate it, right? Because then you just look so angry and you hate your picture for like 4 years. So I totally did the smile with my eyes thing. I was like, I don't care. I'm smiling inside. But anyways, The emotional intelligence, I think, also plays a crucial role in managing and leading your team, right? If you don't have that emotional intelligence, you can get sucked into drama, you can get sucked into gossip, you can get sucked into believing things don't work or taking on a negative attitude, or you don't know how to manage those things when they come up, right? So the emotional intelligence, and I think that's exactly what we're doing right now, is growing people's emotional intelligence by showing up to Monday calls, right? Is that you need to learn how to navigate that. You need to learn how to navigate people. And if you're not emotionally strong, and if you don't have that intelligence, how do you deal with 10, 20, 30 different personalities coming at you every single day? So I think this one's crucial, not just for how you're perceived, but for how your team treats you, for how you're perceived by your upline, by corporate, by anything. So I love this.
Awesome.
May I, Paul?
Of course, yeah, go right ahead. Go right ahead. This is a democracy. It's not a dictatorship. I know you're close to Cuba, but we're not Cuba.
Hey, listen, wrong accent, buddy, wrong accent.
No,
You
I
know-
meant proximity wise.
Angel brings up a good point. If you take yourself too serious, you're going to get embedded in things that you don't need to. Part of the journey here is to work yourself into a situation where you have the ability to enjoy the fruits of what you're working. If you're too serious, you're going to nitpick at every situation that comes up, and you're going to get embroiled in circumstances that you may not want to be a part of, much less get yourself out of. So you need to act judiciously. Look that one up, Paul. That's a good one too. You need to pick your battles as to which ones you want to get involved with. Also, part of your job in all of this, in terms of the emotional intelligence, is to know that your job is to get people started and work yourself out of a job so that you're not encumbered. That's where the time freedom and the residual income really comes into play. If you're micromanaging the issues that appear in your organization and you don't empower your people to do it, the emotional intelligence aspect, you're never going to have a life. It just doesn't evolve that. I do want to touch on one thing. I'm not too sure who it was that said it about fake it till you make it. Guys, never, ever, and I said this on one of the other training calls that we're part of, never, ever fake it till you make it, because that's inauthentic and it's not congruent with who your core is. Your job is to project it till you perfect it. Because if you're projecting it till you perfect it, it means you're moving towards that, not creating a false illusion. Drop the mask and just play the role that you're working towards till you get to that role. I think that's a little bit better. It beats the whole sitting in a rented jet.
I love that.
That's an ism. You can use it.
An idiism. I like it. Paul, you're muted.
Yep. Peg.
Well, I like another spin on it, Izzy, is faith it till you make it, right? Have faith in where you're going until you get there. Have that vision, right? Not faking that you've made it, just faith in where you're going. But I'm thinking about the taking yourself too seriously, and my version of that in my backstory is shyness. Really, shyness can be taking yourself too seriously, right? And I had to reach a point where I had to think about, was I sincerely wanting to help people with our products and with our opportunity, or was I going to worry about my ego? Was I going to worry about what people would think when I spoke and think, oh, who does she think she is, right? So I really, that's what really helped me to put myself in situations where I could get beyond that shyness.
So Peg, there's also just one little thing. People that are shy, and when we're coaching people or identifying people or looking at people, shyness can be perceived as being too serious or being a little bit too arrogant, right? So that's why it's more important for that person who's struggling from shyness to let people know, hey, I'm shy. Be honest. Ask for help from people. People are so willing to help you, meaning ask them for permission to be shy. Hey, I'm shy. Curtis and Lauren, I see you smiling from ear to ear there. Anything come to mind for you guys? Do you want to comment, or you just want to?
So I missed half the call, but I'm loving what I tuned into. I think being relatable is key. If you want somebody to believe in what you're saying, they have to want They have to be relatable. You have to be relatable to them. It has to be something that they can see themselves able to achieve. Like Izzy said, you can't start yourself off here and expect people to want to try to join you and think they're going to get it, because in the back of their mind, they're not going to believe they can reach that success. So you got to tell your story. Be proud of what it took to get to where you are. And even if you're not at the top, you're still working towards getting there. And there's no problem with anybody joining and, helping along the ride. I think what we have here in the community is powerful, but you got to be real. And I think the smile goes a long way.
Yeah. I think it's what you know what, I'm going to go right to that now. I want to show you blow-ups of these pictures, and the blow-ups of the picture, when you first looked at them before, the woman on the left in the warehouse kind of looked very stern. And trust me, it was impossible for me to find a true, these are all marketing pictures. They're all pictures. Somebody's got to mute out. I kind of hear some background noise. Izzy, I think it's you. Oh, yeah, sorry, brother. So it's practically impossible to find marketing photographs or stock photography where the people aren't approachable. So look at the woman on the left. When we was zoomed out on her, you didn't realize that there is a smile there. There is a welcoming, like, hey, I got a tough job to do, but I love my job, or whatever she's communicating through her eyes and her lips is very calculated. Again, I don't see that on people that are trying to project an image that's not real. You need that. It's very subtle, but even the girl in the red sweater, right? There's a smile there. Her eyes are looking at the camera, and it's almost like a shyness to it, but there is an approachability to it. So if we go back to the other picture, because it was very hard for me to do this, I had to literally cheat to make these pictures work, and they still don't work as powerful as they should. And the only place I could find pictures that would really get this message across was on Facebook. And I did not want to call anybody out for it from, in the industry. So now let's talk about, how do we break through this? How do we, people that are maybe projecting too serious of an image, or, we don't seem approachable. How do we use humor? So there are people like maybe Peg's shyness, or, we keep using that. It's really an old thing. Peg's not shy anymore, but, or you may be shy, but you've learned how to overcome it, right? You've learned how to use that butter knife as a screwdriver, your shyness, when you use something, for a different intended purpose. So one of the things are icebreakers, right? So humor is a universal icebreaker. And if you can, I will do this with people who take themselves too seriously. In fact, Angel, I don't want to mention any names, but we met with a guy from a company. We were in Canada and we met for coffee, and the guy he was absolutely ridiculous. Guy's well known in the industry, famous guy, the whole 9 yards, but ridiculous. Couldn't even get him to take a joke. There was just he was just in that zone, right? And he wasn't even conscious of the fact that, never mind, am I unrecruitable? Even if I was, it would not be with you, right? Had no self-perception of where he was in the universe at the time of that meeting. Had no clue where he was in space and time, right? Which is shocking for somebody who's been in the industry or he just doesn't care. Get a spot, get a spot, get a spot. I hate when people tell me, just get a spot and you'll see what happens, and just get a spot and you'll see if things go well, and if it doesn't. You don't join a business. You don't make a life-changing decision, because if you take this business seriously, it is life-changing. It truly is life-changing if you change it. So when somebody says to me, well, just grab a spot and see how it goes, that's against everything I've ever learned about this business. Right? No, if I take a spot with you, I'm dropping everything. I'm calling Alexi, sorry, the party's over. Paul Capozio's gone, and I'm going to this company, right? Now, that's got to be a big decision, but the point is, that's what it's got to be to you. But when you're talking to these people, try to find those lighthearted moments, or see if they're even capable of them. Because let's say, instead of them recruiting you, and you were trying to bring these super serious people into your business, what kind of damage can it do to your organization? What can happen? How could this metastasize into these, like, you can't even take a joke kind of thing, especially this team? Talk about a bunch of misfits. I'm the king misfit here, right? But that's what makes us so successful. Now, I always make fun of myself. I'm always tripping over myself. My language, how many people on this call know by a raise of hands that I'm actually the world's worst speller? You've all gotten texts from me and everything else, right? Does it kill me? Does it? No, but actually, to be honest with you, you may find it somewhat endearing. Peg, I need you to unmute, but you've learned how to speak Paul, correct?
Yeah, I got a Google Translate setting that's Composio.
Right. Right. Now, here's another thing, right? The angel will text me back, and I'm like, oh my God, everything in that thing was misspelled. What
Oh.
happens is you're moving very quickly, right? So it tends to rub off on people. But when you accept yourself for who you are, it really comes across as confidence, right? You know, people are like, oh, well, if you don't spell, people are going to think you're an idiot and people are going to think you're not educated and everything else. Really? Well, just do a little research, figure out who I am, and you'll figure out he might not be educated, but he definitely knows his business. So become comfortable with your imperfections because people find that endearing. The vulnerabilities make you real. Your vulnerabilities make you more approachable. Your vulnerabilities make you someone that other people want to help. Paul, let me correct that for you. Hey, by the way, buddy, it's Y-O-R-E. It's not Y-O-U-R, right? Right. So my people will come to my aid constantly. I'm making this about me because I don't want to make it about anybody else. Be broken, right? Anybody ever see my glow stick, man? A glow stick only works once it's broken. And then it can shine its light and light your way. So don't be afraid of being broken, right? Don't be afraid of being broken. The last thing is humor will really help you reduce stress in situations. If it gets really tense, I was in a big meeting in Utah one time and there was a lot of bad stuff going on and I'm yelling and screaming in the hallway and it was like literally, I wanted to literally pick somebody up and throw them over the balcony. And when you guys come to Utah, you'll see it's 3-story atrium and I was literally going to put somebody over there. Alexi came, right? And said a couple of things, he made fun of my ethnicity and blah, 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 and as a joke, and that whole thing diffused the whole situation. So you got to have the right people that'll work for. So use your humor and find people that appreciate humor. It will make your life so much better. If people take themselves too seriously, they could literally be a cancer in your business. Right? Because they're just going to be, especially the fact they're wielding. They will not bend in any way, shape, or form. So humor is a great way to do it. Okay, humor. If you look there, I have people in my organization that are very serious, but I could make a joke with them and they'll laugh and they'll get it. Like, oh yeah, I know I'm a pain in the ass, but okay, you're halfway there. But if you could never get to that point, then it's really going to be difficult to build a business. Now, some of you may not be building the size of a business you want because you haven't really thought about these as skills. Because we're in the people business. I said it's 90% mindset. It's only 10% sales skills. All you really need to know in this business is how to invite. What you really need to do is it's 90%. I shouldn't even say it's 90% mindset. It's 90% psychiatry. It's 90% psychiatry. So understanding this, and you'll be able to build a mega organization. Izzy, you're smiling and laughing. You got any things you want to add?
I got to tell you, if it weren't for the fact that I'm in the position that I'm in, I'd be joining under you and Angel immediately. What you're saying is absolutely true. Humor is the most disarming thing. One quick point. This industry is filled with big shots. You really don't want to deal with the big shots because number one, they're not coachable. Number two, they're too pompous. Number three, they think they're experts. And here's the definition of an expert, guys, especially these years. An expert is someone that knows how things used to work because everything's changed.
Exactly.
It's so, we're all learning. We're all growing together. Don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to look stupid. And, humor. If you follow me on Facebook, you know that I'm posting the silliest things. The other day I was posting 2 dancing Mexican birds. I throw out the philosophy, I throw out a little bit about lifestyle, and then I make fun of myself. God, if I didn't, I don't know where I'd be. I consider myself as broken as can be, but I view everything with a sense of humor, and you've got to, because if you think it's bad, it's just going to get worse. If you think it's good, it just could get better. It's all what you manifest. I even wear a manifestation bracelet. How about that?
I love that. I think that with this, Paul, like I can like share life experience with this one, because it was, I was being so serious as I was sharing when I first started, and thinking that I had to be all business and all, I was coming from the legal profession, coming into network marketing, right? So I'm used to being a paralegal, which is always serious and you're talking like a lawyer. So it was hard for me to transition. So this whole concept for somebody, when we talk about being vulnerable and people will like it, sometimes it's the hardest thing to do. It's easier to fake who you are than to actually be who you are, right? And so for me, it was when I was training with Ray Higdon, and he started, I don't know if you guys go back that many years, but he started doing Grapety Grape training. So he made up this whole network marketing company. He started doing the most ridiculous videos. And I laughed and laughed and laughed. And then it was his birthday one year, and I posted just a ridiculous video. It was so uncomfortable for me to do this, but I posted it on his timeline as a happy birthday, and it got great reactions. One of my two most videos that got the best interactions back then was, I was doing videos for marketing. I posted my blooper video. People loved it. And then I did another one that was called Spammy Tammy, and I did this crazy Latina girl with like the accent and everything, and I had music, and I was just like, I was ridiculous. One of my top videos I've ever done, right? So it's like, people love it. It's okay to be you. It's okay to be silly. If that's you, just be who you are. You don't have to be like, oh my gosh, now I got to be funny on top of, oh, now I gotta be doing stuff to make you like me. Now I got to be funny too. You don't, but just don't be afraid to be yourself, and don't be afraid to take life a little bit less seriously. And that's the whole point of this whole conversation, right? Is why so serious. So don't take it so seriously. Let yourself live and enjoy this time, because in a few years you're going to be somewhere that you've been praying for right now. So just enjoy the voyage there, right? As he just said, manifest it with the way that you are right now and the way that you're enjoying it. So that's what I have to say there.
Awesome. Peg, anything?
I'm sorry, I'm busy in the chat.
Oh, okay. You want to work it? Okay, we'll go back to you. Izzy's got another comment.
Yeah, no, it's not so much a comment. Somebody posted in the chat about posting in Spanish. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, I'm what you call a WASP. I was born in Puerto Rico, but I was raised in the United States. That makes me a white Anglo-Saxon Puerto Rican, because I'm very white for being a Puerto Rican. And let me tell you, if you're not posting in Spanish, you are missing the most vital growth market out there. The Hispanic market has one of the most amazing work ethics you're ever going to find. And they know people everywhere. Give you an example. A couple of years ago here in Puerto Rico, where I relocated, there were 6 million Puerto Ricans on the island. There are now 4 million, because 3 million have moved back to the States. So they know people there that know people here. People there know people in Mexico. My largest organization, I'm going to say 90% of my organization, exists within the Latino market. They're far easier to work with. They will embrace opportunity like nobody's business. And honestly, with the presence of AI, just ask it to translate. If you look at my posts these days, they're bilingual, and I speak 4 languages. I'm only taking advantage of two. I speak English, Spanish, broken English like Paul, and broken Spanish like everybody else. I'm trying to take use of that. So, don't hesitate to throw something out there. You never know what's going to happen. And if you don't know Spanish, I'll help you. I can screw it up like anybody.
Awesome, Izzy. Thank you. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, people on the other end, if they're entrepreneurial, they'll see what you're doing and they may get a kick out of it. So look, you can't say the wrong thing with the right people, and then you can never say the right thing with the wrong people. I mean, that's a really, really old saying. And that really comes from the right guy could never say the wrong thing to a woman. The wrong guy could never say the right thing, right? So it goes from there, is that we realize that it's really who's receiving your messaging. So we talked a little bit about not being too serious, using humor as a bridge. Not if you're only serious, but even if you kind of got game, right? But humor is really way more attractive than arrogance. Let's face it, guys. But the other thing is perfectionism. I always talk about done is better than perfect, right? And a lot of people who have that serious nature to them, or you may be what we consider a perfectionist, right? It's got to be right, and let me re-edit it. Angel talked about her blooper reel. You know, you could actually start over. I've seen people start over videos, right? You know, or you'll see people, I used to do that whole thing about, all right, let me wait for a few people to get on here and then I'll start my lot. No, just go for it. Just start talking. People are going to watch the replay anyway. That whole thing of waiting is a big mistake. So we want to try to be perfect. I don't want to go until there's enough people watching, right? Then when people do watch it and like, oh, they waited for those 2 people to show up and then they started, right? So mostly the biggest thing with perfectionism, right, is really your fear of failure. You don't want to take a risk, and that's why you want it perfect, and you don't want to be embarrassed, and that's really limiting personal beliefs. It's your professional growth and your personal growth that's suffering. That's why personal development is so important. I'm going to talk about that in Utah, about just having the CEO mindset. Well, do you know that Alexi goes for CEO training? Do you know that I went for training? Do you know I've gone for speaker training and things like that before to improve? If you have somebody in your organization that just can't get it and they're just not moving forward and they just don't take action, and you want to send them the new product and you got to learn about the new product and oh my God, it's going to be great for you. No, send them to let them watch Tony Robbins, let them watch Jim Rohn. Don't give them more of what they're not doing. Give them the things that they need, which is personal development. So biggest thing with perfectionism is you're really avoiding failure. And that's why you got to make it perfect, and my hair's got to be right. Do you know, I very back in 2018, I forced myself to do a live unshaven because I said, I got to get past this. I got to get out of this whole thing. So perfectionism also will affect your creativity, right? You're going to just not wing it, and you're not going to be comfortable, and you're fixating on the right look and the right. Listen, do you know why my screen is blurred behind me? Because that's my dresser and it's a disaster. And I said, you know what? I don't want to be dealing with it anymore. I don't want to have to rush and throw everything around and everything. So what do? I just blur it. Right? Should I get a green screen and have palm trees and stuff in the back? Yeah, I guess I could, you know, whatever, but I don't know how to do that. So when you're starting to look at all of these creative ideas and guys, do the failure, embrace failure. You're never going to go anywhere if you don't really start to embrace failure. And if you don't fail, you're never going to make it work. It's never going to happen. So the only way you're going to learn anything or get, you know, better innovation is by making mistakes, is by trying, and then getting comfortable with it, right? How many of you, if you were in Utah and all of a sudden we said, oh my God, Paul's sick, he's got laryngitis, can you do me a favor? Would you go up and do his segment? Most people would panic instead of saying, no, there's a great opportunity. I know I'm going to, and the first thing I would say is, hey guys, I don't even know what his slides are going to say, so I'm just going to read his slides, but let's see if we can get through this together, right? And take advantage of that whole thing that you don't understand. The glow stick, it doesn't work until it's broken. It's okay, embrace the brokenness. Another thing with perfection, it will burn you out. Anxiety, depression, I'm quitting, I'm going to go to a new company, because you're looking for perfection that you're never going to find. Okay, you're going to say, you know what, the new shiny object is always going to look new and shiny to you when you're dealing with perfectionism. And what you're doing is you're looking for perfection everywhere else but in you, because you see that you're lacking it in you. Accept the fact that you're not perfect, and it's not necessary to be perfect. I'm living, breathing proof of that, right? So embrace that, and then you're going to reduce the possibility of burnout. You're going to reduce your stress. You're going to have the staying power. The average network marketer that I speak to that made any real money in network marketing was at it for 7 years. 7 years, and then all of a sudden, oh, it popped for me, and they became that overnight sensation, right? You told John Melton, all these other Tom, these guys grinded it out for nothing for years and years and years. But what they did was they set themselves up where it wasn't going to be painful. If you're constantly sitting there managing the expectation of when is it going to happen for me and how come that person didn't get in, and you start thinking in ones and twos and not thinking with an abundance mindset of thousands of people, it's not going to happen. And one day that's going to click for you. So the problems with perfectionism is that it's a town with a population of 0. You're never going to get there. Don't try to get there. And guess what happens when you divorce yourself from the outcome of being perfect? That's when you get that video that's like, oh my God, that was awesome. When you get that, really? Was that even, I didn't even think, I thought that sucked. I have this thing where when I get up and speak, I go into a zone. I have no idea if it was good, bad, or indifferent until I'm done. This is the first time I did these slides today. Okay. Never taught on this before. Some slides I think I did good, other slides I think it did bad, but I think there's some meat and potatoes here. And I'm divorcing myself from the perfection of it and just getting the content out so that we can realize that we need to understand people to build this business. We need to understand ourselves to build this business. We need to understand that not everyone's perfect. And it's the people that really project themselves as perfect that are the farthest from it. And our job is to be empathetic to those people because they don't know what they don't know. Okay. And think about how uncomfortable life must be for them. How uncomfortable it must be. So therefore, when you're really trying to build this opportunity, try to be empathetic, but don't fall prey to what can really hold you back. And that's perfectionism. Angel, what's your thoughts on this?
This is awesome. And I see so much here. Like when you talk about just the perfectionism and so many of us use that as our avoidance plan, right? It's like, if you're resonating with this, if you're like, ooh, and we use perfectionism and people pleaser as avoidance plans, right? So if you're using one of those titles for yourself, or you're thinking that way, or you haven't done your video, or you haven't joined a challenge yet because it's not perfect yet, or you haven't marketed something because it's not perfect yet, or you haven't gone live, or you don't use stories, or you're not doing your marketing, or you haven't reached out to your chicken list because you just don't feel like you're perfect enough yet, right? That's your avoidance plan. And it's hard to get over that. You have to force yourself. You have to, but you got to do a real look inside yourself right now and say, is that actually what I'm doing? Is that actually what I'm using as my excuse to stop me from my dreams? So you're worrying about what the world thinks, how they're going to perceive you, how they're going to receive you, how they're going to think about you, what they're going to say behind your back, what's going to go on in rooms that you're not in, that they're talking about you. Who cares? They are not building this for you. They're not building your paycheck. They're not paying your bills. They're not doing any of that. Who cares? You have to get to that point where you just say, who cares? And what you realize is, yeah, sure, there might be some people that stop following you. You're going to lose some people. People are going to, make comments to you when you're around them. Usually it's family or friends, which is crazy. They're going to make comments about what you're doing and why are you doing that? And, oh, who do you think you are now? And you're doing this. It's going to happen. But you get to where you're going. So that fear of failure, because I was, we heard in a training a long time ago that, you think fear is on one side and success is on the other. You have to go through failure. So you have to go through the imperfect to get to the success. And when I started doing videos, I had a vlog, guys. I had a blog with videos on it for years. It was Coffee with Angel. It was so, that sounds so cringy now, but I did, I think 250 days of videos over and over. The first video, if you ever could find that thing on YouTube, guys, it's horrible. The sound is awful. The lighting is horrible. I don't even know, I can't even believe it's out there, but I did it because it sucked and I put it out there. And then the next one was a little bit better. The next one was a little bit better. And I'm not sure they ever got that great, but I did them, right? And it made me comfortable so that when Facebook Live came out, I had already done 250 recorded videos. Now I could go and do a live, and my hand was shaking. I had to hold this hand with this hand because I was shaking so much because I was live. And you could see it in my voice was shaking, but I did it because it was far from perfect. The wind was blowing. You could barely hear me, but I did it. And there's nothing special about me. I'm just using myself as an example because sometimes people perceive certain people as, oh, well, they didn't have to go through that because they're just comfortable in anything. No, we still do the uncomfortable every single day, right? Nothing is super comfortable yet I don't think for any of us. If we're real, what do you walk into every single day where you're like, I got this, I'm amazing, except for Paul. I feel like Paul does do that every single day. Every time he talks and gets up on stage, he's just like, I got this. But I'm joking, Paul. I just, so if you're resonating with any of that, just do it. It either means that you have to get over yourself, get over other people, and really decide. When we talk about decision, have you decided you're going after this no matter what? Because if you haven't, then you're letting all of these things stop you. You're letting people receive you in a different way. Maybe you just need to have an honest look at yourself in the mirror and go, oh my gosh, I'm way too serious. And this is my problem. This is why I'm not getting where I want to go. But it can also go too far the other way. And I wanted to touch on that too. I have to be conscious of how funny are you, or how much do you use, how much do you little yourself around others to make them comfortable and be funny and be kind of that easygoing person and still hold that power, right? There's a balance in that. And I think that comes as you learn and grow and learn to know yourself a little bit more and really start to surround yourself with people who appreciate you and decide who your circle is going to be. So I went all kinds of places there.
No, that's great. And I love the idea of that balance of not dimming your light so much for other people. That's the empathetic and the empath side, right? And then you have to bring that around because people do want leadership. They want to be led. They want to know there's a strength there that when the proverbial S hits the fan, someone's going to come and save their butts. So it's a very fine balance, right, to do it. And sometimes the pendulum has to swing where you are showing people maybe too much of that serious side or that bold side for when the pendulum come back. And that's why long-term relationships are so important. You can't get to know a leader by joining their team because they said grab a spot and you watch them on stage. Because if you watch any of us on stage, you're going to be like, holy crap, that was awesome, right? Yeah, because we spent the night perfecting this thing. But it's when you get that call at 11 o'clock at night saying, I want to quit. And I'm like, hold on a second. What's going on? Talk to me. What's happening? Okay. Look, you want to quit? If you're going to leave this team because you have a better opportunity and it's something that you're going to improve your life and the life of your family, I'll be the first one to sign you out. But what's really going on? Well, this and that. And then all of a sudden you're going to realize it's this either perfectionism or lack of perfectionism or too serious or maybe that mostly it's managing the expectation. Most of the time people get frustrated is they never figured out either how long it's going to take or how much time, effort they should put into it. And it's a lack of consistency and a lack of conversations. Most of you, I could diagnose you in 20 seconds because it's a lack of consistency and a lack of conversations with people. And you think because it's Friday and you're going to drop out of rank and you need to put 3 customers on by then, all of a sudden, what technique or what style or what do you think that person's going to really appreciate or not appreciate for you at the end of that call? You just berated someone into buying your new product. Okay, so anybody else on perfectionism? Because remember, guys, this is not just about what you see in other people. You got to turn this inward. I didn't tell you this until this slide, but guys, some of this are traits that we all have ourselves that we need to keep track of. It's easy to say, oh my God, look, is he so serious and he's so perfect and he had the jet and the yacht because we're doing this, right? When we're really going this. Right. So part of this training is about you, about either you are not, trying to get to as close to perfect as you can, or you're trying to be too perfect. John, did you have a comment? Okay. So let's go to the next slide where self-awareness, and it kind of led me to what I just said because it's about you. So all of these issues will have the perfectionism, the too seriousness, take ourselves too seriously. You may get mad at me, and I'll use me. You'll get mad at me because you're taking yourself too seriously. Oh, he didn't do this, or he didn't show up for the call. He was supposed to be on a 3-way call for me, and that would have been it. Guys, if your business relies on a 3-way call happening exactly at 1:30 on Wednesday, and your whole business is going to be turned upside down because that call did not happen at 1:30 on Wednesday, you're not building a business. So, a couple of things about self-awareness. You gotta meditate or journal or whatever your thing is. I'm big on the chakra balancing and stuff like that. Just sometimes just quieting your mind a little bit and figuring out who the F you are. Okay, that's just introspective thought process. Do you do it? And are you doing it for the right reason? Are you doing it just to calm down? Right? Because if you're just doing it to calm down, take a gummy, have a glass of wine like I am, and figure that part of it out. But sometimes you gotta just really kind of deconstruct yourself a little bit. You may have some clues. I have this thing where if I close my eyes and I'm in that zone, I get this, like, it looks like a purple amoeba that kind of like rolls around in my head. I close my eyes and I see this thing, and it'll expand and contract. And I know I'm detached from myself if I close my eyes and I can't find that purple spot. I'm closing my eyes right now and it's here, it's off to the right, but it's there. And I know I can manifest that bigger and bigger. I don't know what it is, but it's been with me since I'm a kid. And when I close my eyes and I see that, I know I'm connected. And sometimes I'll just ask to be connected. Right? Sometimes we need to figure out. Now, some people like journaling. You know, the only thing I like about journaling is finding yours because because I'm a kid. I'm a kid from New Jersey. So I'd love nothing more than to find your journal and then go on Facebook and say, check this out. You know what Nancy Billingsley did when she was 12 years old? Right. Do that journaling, meditation, quiet contemplation, all of that. Spend a little bit of time to get to know you. And sometimes you're not going to like who you are, and work through that. Work through that. Figure out what you need to do and work through that. The thing is also then seek feedback, but be prepared for it, right? Trusted people. Now, maybe I put trusted family and family members, and sometimes that's the worst place to go. You know what your relationships are like and who cares for you and who doesn't and who truly has your back. Let me tell you this. If you don't really know who has your back, you need to find someone to do that, because sometimes we get involved with the drama, we get involved with people, and we're looking for gathering information, and we forget to reserve someone that's off limits. And we forget to reserve someone in our life that we have to say, no matter what happens, I'm going to take this person seriously and I'm going to be able to rely on them. And you got to invest the time to find out who that is. They may have nothing to do with this business. Okay. But then you got to be able to seek feedback from them. And you got to believe them when they tell you, hey, man, you were an asshole yesterday. Just telling you, you were an asshole yesterday. Or, Paul, you really kind of let that person walk all over you. It really wasn't the right thing to do. I know you really want the best for them, but any of that, any constructive feedback and any insights in the blind spots that we don't know we have with ourselves. I think I'm going to stop here on introspect and seeking feedback so we can go to the field, because we're never going to get through this whole thing. There's, hold on. There's actually 1, 2 more, 3 more slides plus this one, and we're only half done. Angel, I'm going to go to you, and then we're going to open it up to anyone who wants to talk about any of the slides, and I'll recap what the slides were, what we covered, but the introspective side of it, getting to know you and how you deal with feedback.
Yeah, I think like everybody on here probably is guilty of not spending enough time on number one, getting to know yourself, because we wake up, what's the first thing we do? Like, I know myself, it's like I have a schedule and I jump out of bed and I'm doing that schedule. And there's times where it'll be all of a sudden I'll be like, oh my gosh, like I didn't take any time for meditation, prayer, anything like that. And that is huge, right? You have to spend that time, even if it's just 5 minutes a day. We can find stop doing this for 5 minutes a day and spend it on yourself. Stop looking for whatever you're looking for in this thing, scrolling on your feed. Like, yes, we're network marketers, but we don't need to waste time on social media, right? Use it for a purpose. Always have it be there for a purpose. Comment on five people's posts, do a post. Use it for that purpose, but don't use it to consume time that you could be building yourself. And I think that tapping into more training, getting into podcasts, filling your time. Like when I first got into this profession, I stopped watching TV completely stopped everything. If I was going to spend any time doing anything, like if I had downtime, I was learning, I was feeding myself, I was watching, at that time it was webinars, right? And all of that stuff that I could be plugging into. But, and you don't have to do that. You don't have to go extreme, but just make sure you're making some time. The sacrifice in this business needs to be sometimes for yourself. That balance has to be there. If you're not working on yourself, you can't expect to have some kind of miraculous growth in your business because you're not putting it into yourself. You've got to take care of yourself first. You've got to do that just to be a better parent, a better spouse, a better whatever, a better family member, a better friend. You've got to spend that time and allow yourself some downtime. Don't feel that pressure that every single second needs to be about the business, because I've been guilty of that many, many times myself. I love the feedback thing. I think, Paul, yesterday you were gracious enough to spend some time with me on my speech in Utah. Definitely gave me some incredible feedback. I could have received some of that as, you know, it could have hurt, but it didn't hurt because I trust you as one of those people who I know has my best interests in your mind and all of that. So you have to, no matter what level you ever get to, guys, you have to have someone that you can go to that can put you in check or allow them to say, hey, you could do this a little bit better, or hey, I know you're really good at this, but I think you're not giving it enough, or any of that. You have to be open to that. So I think that was great. This has been, I think, an incredible learning experience. If you really allowed yourself to be open and receive what we talked about today, it doesn't mean you have to check off every single box we talked about. You don't have to go out and do a blooper video. You don't have to go and humiliate yourself on social media to go build a business, but it's just don't take it so seriously. And I love this topic. So does anybody want to raise their hand? Do you have some feedback, some thoughts that you'd like to share? Not everybody all at once.
Well,
There we go.
I just I put it in the chat that that the definition of a perfect human being is a human being that makes mistakes. So if you find a human out there that doesn't make any mistakes at all, then it's artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And then I think twice about it, but that's a good point, John. So I'm going to recap what we talked about really quickly so far. So we covered the perception dilemma, which is you think you're projecting this serious attitude and this great lifestyle and, planes, cars, belts, shoes, handbags, hairdos, all of that stuff, right? And then how is it really being perceived by other people? And are they getting the wrong message from you? The other thing is humor is a bridge, right? It's a great way to show people how real you are and how authentic you can be by either making fun of yourself and then helping, try to make fun of others, which is difficult to do. Be careful, because if you suffer from the perception dilemma, then you try to use the humor bridge, right? What you're doing is you're really insulting the other guy, telling him how stupid he is, right? So you got to really work on the mindset issues. The next thing is the pitfalls of perfectionism. It's huge, guys. If you don't realize that you'll never be perfect and get past the perfectionism, it's really hurting your business and it's holding you back. The other thing is then we talked a little bit about self-awareness and we didn't get through that. We're going to go through self-awareness again next week. We're going to do practicing humility, right? About really, really getting that humility side. And that's a really tough balance because of what Angel said about the balance between dimming your light and that humility. So humility is not self-depreciating. Humility is not dimming your light. Humility is being humble, to the point of that being humble does not mean when you know something or you see someone who's going to step off a cliff, right? Being humble is not, I don't want to yell too loud. I don't want to be perceived as this big mouth. No, you have an obligation. So humility is a very, very big, it's a balancing act. And then building authentic connections, because a lot of us, it's something I think I tend to do quite well, is building these authentic connections with people, that trying to find the commonality and find something to like about them and then going with that. I literally go into every relationship thinking it is possible that this new friend could possibly be one of my top 10 best friends. If you go into relationships like that, instead of finding the flaws, because usually when we see flaws in other people, or we see issues in other people, what we identify first are our own internal I see Lynn. Lynn, I knew with your eyes that you knew exactly where I was going with that. But it's so true that we really see our own faults in other people easier than we see them in ourselves. So usually the first things we don't like about someone or notice about someone that's not cool is really what we're not cool about in ourselves. Anybody else have anything? Otherwise, we're going to let Angel close out.
I'd love to hear from Tracy if she can open up. She put in the chat that she's a recovering perfectionist, and I'd love to hear from you your thoughts on tonight, if you want to share and if you're able to.
Hi, Trace.
There she is. You're muted.
There we go. I'm looking very imperfect today, which is why I wasn't on camera.
Hey, there you go.
No,
There
no,
you
take
go.
your hand
Look
down.
great.
That's exactly what we're talking about. Absolutely. You look absolutely fine.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was a great session. I talk a lot about this as well, so it's lovely to hear it from someone else and to have the reminder to focus on myself sometimes too. And you know, I do think I am a recovering perfectionist, and I practice not being a perfectionist, if that makes sense. I practice doing less or having that flaw or having that just being authentic. So
Yeah, I think it's real critical, and people are going to, if you're listening to this or watching it on a recording, and saying, what does this have to do with network marketing or building a home-based business or building any business? It has everything to do with it. It's all about people. And I want to give something back to you guys. Have you guys ever tried these extra dark split pretzels? They're really dark. Has anybody ever tried these?
No.
No? Oh my God, they're so good. They're really, really good. This was like my Super Bowl thing yesterday, but they're really dark, like overcooked pretzels. And they're really good with beer or with wine. I'm having them with a Cabernet right now, but holy shit, these things are good. They're really good. They're called extra dark, slightly charred splits. Oh, holy shit, they're good. All right, go ahead, Angel. Do you want? Oh, Diane's got something to say. Hi, Di.
Hi, Paul. I just wanted to say, hopefully, you know, you have that friend who will tell you that you're being an asshole. You know, like sometimes you don't realize that you might have pushed the envelope too far and you need that friend to like reel you back in. So hopefully you have that.
Well, Diane, you've actually been that friend to me. So much so that I'd want to be able to be that friend to you once in a while. No, I'm kidding. But you've had told me, hey man, I don't know, you kind of were a little harsh on that person or whatever. But I think it's important that you take it from people that you trust.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
We already went 14 minutes over. Diane, thank you so much. Everybody, thank you for being here. Angel, why don't you take us out?
For sure. And I
Because I
want to
did a
give a
lot.
shout
I
out
did-
to Marco too. Marco's here in Winnipeg with me.
Oh,
and
hey, Marco.
when we talk about, you know, not overthinking and not waiting until you're perfect, he jumped into the business and he's been sharing this with people like nonstop, and he's sending me messages, oh, this person and that person in this group and that. And it's just like, I want to give you a shout out, Marco, for doing that, because you just jumped in, you believe in it, and you're doing it, right? So super grateful for you. And I know you had a meeting tonight as well. So, and I know you messaged me, and I'll get back to you. So just really great to have you here and be a part of the family and be building the
Yeah,
Winnipeg.
Marco, it's been a great relationship. Even when we first met, you know, just friendly. We have some things in common. In fact, we're going to Tennessee, so that's going to be a lot of fun. But that's what you're looking for. You're looking for people who get it, see it. You're looking for people who are looking. You're looking for people who want a better life for themselves, their families, and don't mind if you have a better life too with them at the same time.
Exactly. Well, thanks guys for being here tonight. You guys are the ones that hung around the entire time. Again, make sure to start using this as a recruiting tool, guys. If there's people that you know that are saying, no, I'm happy where I am, start hitting them up with this link. Oh my gosh, I know you're happy where you are. Come over to this training. This is what they talked about last week. Come over this week. So start using that for sure.
Right. This is not just for New You Life. If you're in any network marketing company, any home-based business, you sell potholders on Etsy, all this is important because you're constantly dealing with people. Angel, thank you so much. Great job tonight.
Thank
Diane,
you,
thank you.
Paul.
Lynn, Charlene, Curtis,
awesome.
Lauren, thank you. Nancy, Sandra, Marco, Tracy, Sheila, thank you for hanging in there. Appreciate it. We hope we gave you a little bit of value tonight. We'll see you next Monday, but we'll also see you Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for our opportunity call, where we go through the entire presentation of what New Life is all about, what our products are all about, the history of the company, and why you should join. Thank you, guys.
Night, guys.
I got pretzel.
Good night.